Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is the Surge Effect, and this podcast, well, it'll probably have an effect on you. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Surge Effect. In today's podcast, we are going to be talking about, just like the thumbnail says, questions and answers by Pierre Poilievre. And they're good. They're really good questions. And I took little snippets from different interviews. Jasmine Lane just did one the other day. Fantastic. I took a couple of snippets from hers. Jordan Peterson, another interview out in BC, just a few different ones. And actually, Anna, Pierre's wife, asked him a couple of questions. So anyway, that's the today's podcast, and that's what I'm going to be posting. So hope you enjoy it. All right. So as everyone knows, Pierre Poilievre and, of course, his wife Anna have been doing all kinds of rallies across this country. And they've been just packing airplane hangars, just thousands and thousands and thousands of people. I had the pleasure of going to one in Kitchener, and it was fantastic. Like I said in my one podcast about the energy, it was electrifying, absolutely electrifying. This one here, I believe, was in Vaughan the other day or Hamilton the other day. As you can see, just thousands and thousands of people. So, in my humble opinion, I hope that it's a blue wave coming. I really do. So this podcast, like I said, is going to be me just showing you video clips of Pierre Poilievre, different questions that are going to be asked of him. First one is from his wife. She says, "What are you going to do the first day that you are in office?" And here we go.
What would you do on your first day in office as a prime minister?
Well, we are going to axe the federal sales tax on new homes. And we will also incentivize municipalities to cut their building taxes so we can knock $100,000 of taxes off every new home. We're going to cut income tax by 15%. That will be phased in over the first few years in my time in office. And that'll let you keep more of your paycheck. And all those things are going to begin the first day I take office.
So there you go. So that's what he's going to do the first day of office. A lot of slashing income tax and whatnot. And, of course, the carbon tax, and the carbon tax. Next question is going to be from Jasmine Lane. She says, are you going to touch dental care or daycare?
Get into some of
So this is one of the questions she's going to ask.
The more pressing issues here that are on the minds of a lot of Canadians, and also Mark Carney, I would like to add. I was actually watching him live just the other day, and he had reiterated that the Conservatives, and more specifically you, Mr. Poilievre, are everyone for themselves, and that you are going to be cutting dental care, cutting pharmacare, cutting child care, the $10 a day program. So can you expand a little bit more on what the Conservative Party will be doing with these programs?
We're not going to be cutting back these programs because Canadians have suffered enough already. You've got, after 10 years of these guys, and that includes Mr. Carney. He was the economic advisor to Trudeau through half of it. Like, make no mistake about it. He was there. He supported every single Liberal policy. What do we have? We got housing costs that have doubled. We've got an entire generation of youth who can't afford homes. We're here in Toronto. It now takes 29 years for an average family to save up for a down payment. 2 million people lined up at a food bank. It's really been economic hell on earth. With Carney and the Liberals in power. Now, he released his platform, another $130 billion of spending above and beyond what Trudeau had already budgeted. And we just learned that, in fact, it wasn't his platform at all, it wasn't Carney's platform at all. It was actually written for Justin Trudeau and just handed over to the next leader. So you're going to get exactly the same thing from a fourth term that you got from the first three. We need a change. And only the Conservatives will provide that change so you can afford food and housing, change so you're safe on your street again.
Change. That's what he is looking for, obviously, just like the rest of us are looking for change. Next question is, why did you vote down certain things in the House? This is question number 3. There's 10 questions, 10 questions in total. And this is a biggie because everyone always says, oh, he voted down this and he voted down that. Did you ever ask yourself why? Here's the answer.
Because, there's critics of yours who will say that, well, the Conservatives voted against these programs. So can you elaborate on why the Conservatives voted
they're
against?
embedded in budgets that doubled our national debt and that drove up housing costs and inflation and forced people to food banks. And so they put in one positive thing out of a $500 billion budget that is impoverishing the nation. Obviously, we're not going to vote to impoverish the nation by backing the disastrous economic policies that got us into this mess. We really do need a change, and we can't go on like this. If they're reelected, they're campaigning on a pledge to add $250 billion to our debt, which is not an abstraction. It means that your food, your gas, your groceries, all going to go up with more inflation. And the crime is going to get worse in our streets. We need to fire these guys and bring in a new government. And we plan to cut bureaucracy. You want to know what we cut? We'll cut bureaucracy. I announced yesterday we're going to cut $10 billion in consultants. I'm going to cut foreign aid. We're going to get rid of a lot of the corporate welfare handouts that just go to insiders and foreign multinationals that take jobs out of our country. And we're going to use that money to get inflation, taxes, and debt down for a change.
And
for another change, of course. Now, see, this is the thing. Everyone believes that, there's his party votes down certain things. Oh, he voted down this and he voted down that. A lot of people don't understand that when they put a bill together, they put a bunch of other stuff wrapped in that bill, stuff that's not good for Canadians and stuff that'll put us further in debt. These are the things that people need to understand. That was a great question by Jasmine, and a big shout out to Jasmine Lane for putting this that little question period together there with Anna and Pierre. Fantastic job. So we're going to move on here now to our next question is from Mark Carney. So Mark Carney, during your last debate, they all got to ask a question to somebody. And of course, I've watched our House a lot, House of Commons a lot. They've always asked Pierre Poilievre the same question all the time. Why don't you get your security clearance? He doesn't get his security clearance, on and on and on. So this is why he didn't get it. And maybe you'll understand.
Actually, I'm going to ask a question which has been troubling me. And it's troubling me because, we are in a very dangerous and divided world.
Who is it to?
I'm going to ask a question of Mr. Poilievre. Why not? We're in a dangerous and divided world. We talked earlier about the challenges in the Middle East, the threats from Iran, threats from Russia, Russia's aggression in Ukraine. We have the threats from China, which I raised. We have the United States, which is fundamentally changing its security relationships, its commercial relationships. We have all this. And in the context of that, everyone on this stage, Mr. Blanchet, Mr. Singh, myself, we have our top secret security clearance. We have our top secret security clearance. I got mine within 3 weeks. It wasn't hard, but I felt it was important that I had it so I could be in a position to be informed about that dangerous world and take decisions at. And Mr. Poilievre, it is now 950 days, if my numbers are right, since you've had the opportunity to get your top secret security clearance, and you've refused. Why?
Well, first of all, I have got my security clearance when I was a minister. I got top secret clearance at the time, so there's no problem getting that. But when the government made this recent offer, they said that if I got the secret security clearance briefings, that I would be gagged under the security law, and I could be prosecuted if I spoke freely about matters of foreign interference. Now, given that Canada has experienced Chinese interference by Beijing, the government of China, in 2 consecutive elections, I needed to do my job to speak freely without fear of prosecution. And that was not something I would be allowed to do. Even Thomas Mulcair, the former leader of the NDP, said that when he was the leader of the opposition, he never would have accepted the kind of gag order that your government and Mr. Trudeau's government was attempting to impose on me. And it's good that I'd made that decision, because it has allowed me to speak freely about things like the case where one of your candidates, sir, actually said that he wanted to send a political opponent to China under a bounty threatening his life or imprisonment, and you refused to get rid of him. Now, it might have something to do with the fact that you went to China not long ago to get a $250 million loan for your company. But the reality is, you refused to stand up for a Canadian who was being threatened by a foreign government. And I was able to speak freely on that matter because I refused the gag order that the Liberal government attempted to impose on me.
Well,
That is a fact. And if you looked at one of my podcasts, I think the last one, the one prior, I covered that quite extensively in regards to what occurred there. And Carney never fired the guy. The guy stepped down himself eventually. So you can check into that yourself, but that is a fact. Next question is Canadian resources and how would you get them to market? This interview was done by a reporter out in BC. So there you go. So that's a fact as well. Bill C-69, the Liberals passed that bill along with the NDP help because of Jagmeet Singh, but they passed that bill to once again tie the hands of anyone that's in government to open up our LNG, which is our gas, liquid natural gas, and our oil. That's like the lifeblood of this country. That would make us rich. This country will be very, very wealthy if they open up those floodgates. But the Liberals don't want that. They want hands tied. And Carney said he will not change that. That alone should tell you you should not vote for Carney just because of that one bill. Forget about all the other stuff that you've heard or seen or talked about. That'd be like you owning a ice cream stand and you need milk, but I pass a law that you can't get milk. So therefore you can't sell your wares. You might as well fold up shop because you're going to be in debt because you have no milk to make ice cream. You know, it's the same kind of principle, all right, when you think of it. So anyway, next question is about immigration and education. Immigration education for jobs. Same interviewer. So that's a good idea as well, as far as I'm concerned, because you can't keep bringing people into a house. If your house has 3 bedrooms, you can't have 10 people over. You only have 3 bedrooms. You're going to stack them on top, and then you get 10 people, and then you go, now you're going to get 50 more on top of that, and then another 100 in the same house. You can see sooner or later the house overflows. And what are those people bringing to the house? What are they bringing into that environment? Are they helping everyone else that's in the house? Are they doing their fair share? That kind of thing. Are they educated to do what needs to be done? You need to kind of put a rein on that, in my opinion, until you can smooth that out, and then you can slowly start integrating it again into your system. But look after your own home base first. That's as far as I'm concerned. Here's another one from Jordan Peterson. He says, how would you fight inflation? If you've ever listened to my podcast in the past, you'll hear me talking a little bit about inflation. It's really simple, right? Inflation is too many dollars chasing too fewer goods. That's basically it in a nutshell. Now, why do we have inflation? So here's Jordan Peterson asking Pierre Poilievre, how would you fix it? How would you fight it?
What would you do to stop inflation?
Well, we stop the money printing. You know, we need, and the money printing is just a means to fund deficit spending. Mm-hmm. Governments borrow to
define the deficit, for people.
So basically, the deficit is the difference between what the government spends and what it brings in.
Mm. It's usually calculated on a yearly basis.
That's
deficit.
right.
Yeah, and the debt.
Well, the debt is just the accumulation of the deficits.
Right.
So the deficit right now is $62 billion. And
I thought it had a ceiling of
41 billion, right.
Wasn't that a ceiling?
Yeah.
Guess not, eh?
I guess not. Mm-hmm. Look, there are very real present day consequences for that. Deficits increase the money supply. Central banks effectively facilitate that increase in the money supply, and that causes inflation. And, it's why I have a buddy whose family moved here from Italy back in 1973. His father worked paving roads, and his mother made sandwiches in a senior's home.
they were able to pay off their home 10 minutes from Parliament Hill in 7 years.
Right.
Their grandchildren wouldn't be able to save up a down payment for that home in 15 years, and they will be university educated with all the advantages of having been here 2 decades. That is the consequence of the money supply growing vastly quicker than the stuff that money buys. So what we have to do is stop growing the money supply and start growing the stuff money buys.
Exactly. Start making the things that money buys. Next question is Uniting Canada. This is a statement that he made when he was with Brian Lilly. Brian Lilly did a little interview with him, and Brian Lilly works at The Sun. I think he used to work for Toronto Star, I think, but now he's with The Sun. Anyway, this was interesting and a nice little interview, but this is what he had to say about Canada and bringing people together.
To bring our people back together, unite the country, we need to have a small federal government that allows more independence and autonomy for our provinces and maximizes the freedom of our people, unleash all of our industries so that people feel a stake in the economy again. And then, by the way, unite the country around our symbols again. You know, Liberals bashed our symbols, our history, our nation's founder, and then they wonder why there's divisions. Well, the glue that held us together was national pride. I want to bring that back by upholding our symbols, rebuilding statues. We've got to unite around our history, be proud of what we have here. There's a reason why so many people want to come to Canada. It's because we have a great history and a great future. So let's unite again.
Let's unite again. What a great idea. What a fantastic idea. Next question is about women's rights and government being involved in citizens' lives. This is another question from Jasmine Lane. And like I said earlier, she's done a fantastic job. Great questions, and these are just a few of them. Go and check out her YouTube channel and check out the full interview. And very well done. Here we go. This question, like I said, women's rights and government being involved in citizens' lives.
Some of the biggest misconceptions you think people have about being conservative and being Canadian today?
Well, first of all, I want to bat those down very quickly. Where our policy in our platform since 2004 that was adopted by our members is that there will be no restrictions on a woman's choice in abortion. That's in our policy. It will be printed in my platform. I've made that comment countless times, and there will be. It just won't happen. So that's the first point on people's sex lives. I'm not interested. If I were starting a political party from scratch, I would call it the Mind Your Own Damn Business Party. My goal is to basically let people make their own decisions, and whether it's about their love lives or about their wallets or their speech or what food they eat or car they drive, I don't want to be involved in any of those things. I'm not in this to run your life. I want to run a government that protects the borders, provides services people can't provide for themselves, and a military that keeps us safe and strong, an economy that grows so people have jobs. That's my job, and I'm not interested in running people's lives. That's ironically, it's the party that does want to run people's lives is the Liberal Party. They want like a gigantic octopus party, government that just has hands everywhere, running in your wallet, in your household, in the raising of your kids, in your internet feed. They want the government to control everything. I want pretty much the opposite. Like, let people decide for themselves. I don't believe politicians or bureaucrats have any divine powers to tell you how to live your life. In fact, to the contrary, when I walk around my riding and I talk to like plumbers and farmers and electricians and stuff, those people actually know more about the economy than most of the high-level bureaucrats and politicians I encounter. So everything I've experienced in life has taught me that politicians should just leave people the hell alone and to make their own decisions, to live their own lives, and to chart their own course.
Wow. Now there's a novel idea, right? People looking after themselves, doing their own thing, being free, doing it as what they want to do with their own body, right? Last question is going to be from his wife. She says, why do you want to become prime minister? And this is the very last question. Then I'm going to play 2 more videos after that. And that's going to be it for today's podcast. So here we go.
So tell me, why do you want to become prime minister?
It's pretty simple. I basically want to give people what I had. Very simple deal. You work hard, you get a great life. And that used to be how the country worked. You could get a decent job out of school. You could get a down payment by the time you were 26, 27. That's what I had that chance when I was a kid. I started from pretty humble beginnings and got to where I am. I just want everybody else to have that chance. So that's why I'm doing it.
Sounds like common sense to me.
Common sense. Isn't that something? Totally opposite of what the Liberals basically have done to this country. Just going to pop off a couple of things here. Basically, these are just a quick 15, 16 things that the Liberals have just crushed this country in the last 10 years. Carbon pricing framework, fiscal policy, deficit spending, immigration policy, housing policy in action, Arrive scam, SNC Lavalin affair. You can look these up. These are scandals, and these are things that cost our country and its citizens huge amounts of money. I don't want to get into each one because it'll take me an hour and a half to get through all this stuff on a podcast. The Winnipeg Lab security breach, 2019 and 21. Bill C-11. I've talked about that so many times, my tongue's bleeding. Bill C-63, that's the Online Harms Act that they wanted to push through. The same thing they have over in England right now, which is insane. They can literally charge you with something that you're going to think of in the future. Bill C-293, the Energy Policy and Pipeline delays. Foreign Policy and UN Security Council bid. The Aga Khan vacation scandal. Safe drug policy, that's, of course, all the drugs that they've legalized across out in BC. We've had 50,000 Canadians die from drug overdoses. More people than in World War II. Let that sink in. Bill C-48, the oil tanker ban out in BC. The capital gains tax, the proposal they tried to push through to 65% capital gains. Think about that. If you sell a $1 million home and you have to pay the government $650,000 and then you get the remainder. That's insane. Capital gains. Pandemic spending oversight. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the CERB. Check it out. It's insane. Child care program implementation. That was in 21 to 25. In response to the U.S. tariffs, having a back and forth with a battle with the states, it's a losing battle. Those are just some of these things that this Liberal government is trying to do. Last 10 years, they've destroyed our country economically and spiritually. People coming together. They have just, I believe, in my opinion, that they have just done so much damage to the fabric of our country. Ask yourself, are you better off right now than you were 10 years ago? Are you better off now than you were 10 years ago? It's just going to keep getting worse. And here's something that Pierre Poilievre dropped just yesterday. If you haven't seen this, listen to this. This is crazy. And if you think that this is okay for your kids or your grandkids or your great-grandkids, then go ahead and vote Liberal if you want them to live this kind of life. If you don't, then obviously know your choice.
I would be remiss as a reporter to not talk about what you talked about. And I want to talk about the platform, but just before that, you mentioned about this report out of the Privy Council.
Yeah.
Now, as a crime reporter, if you will, when I hear something like that, I cannot believe what I've heard. And it's such a stark contrast to what you talked about in your platform. But I do want to go back, if you can address that, how that's going to help fix it. But that is the most negative thing in my 40 years in journalism that I've ever heard about Canada. I don't see it too many places in the media. And I think it can't be glossed over. So I'd like to talk about that and how you're going to fix that if you win on next week.
I think you're absolutely right. I am shocked that, this is not an interest group or an opinion columnist or even a think tank that has put out this report. It is not even just a government department.
It is the Prime Minister's personal department. Like, I think somebody has to ask Mark Carney, has he seen this report? His department wrote it. And what they are anticipating on the current trajectory is a total meltdown, a societal breakdown in Canada if we stay on the current track. Why this isn't blazing the front pages of every news outlet in the country right now is beyond me. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. It blows my mind. What they're actually saying is that, I'm just going to read some of these. More people, this is for the future. It's not enough for Mr. Carney to say, oh, well, the last 10 years is in the past, forget about it. Stop bothering me about the past, he will say. This is the predicted future his department foresees for Canada. More people may struggle to afford rent, bills, or groceries. The resulting stress could worsen mental health challenges. This would increase demand on social services. In 2040, upward social mobility is almost unheard of in Canada. Hardly anyone believes that they can build a better life for themselves or their children through their own efforts. Many worry about sliding down the social order. In 2040, owning a home is not a realistic goal for many. Inequality between those who rent and those who own has become a key driver of social, economic, and political conflict. In 2040, pursuing a post-secondary education is no longer considered a reliable path to social mobility. Fewer young people choose post-secondary education, and those who do see it less as a path to a successful career than a way to reinforce their membership in the, quote, elite. That's not my words. That's the government's words. The report paints a terrifying picture of a spiral of economic depression and cost inflation. People may lose faith in the Canadian project, it says. It forecasts that this may trigger people to, quote, emigrate to jurisdictions where they perceive upward social mobility or other higher standards of living are easier to obtain. If young workers leave, it may become harder to pay for our social programs for the older people in the country. And then this last line, it staggers me. That because groceries are expected to become so expensive, according to Mr. Carney's top government department, people may start to hunt, fish, and forage on public lands and waterways. Like, it is just hard to believe when you read these words that this is about Canada. This is exactly why I'm in politics, to reverse this, to give people back the promise of this country. And we know what to do. We know how to get there. We have to unleash a plan for change, a plan that will cut people's taxes so their hard work pays off, that will remove bureaucracy so we can build over 2 million homes, that will lock up the violent criminals, that will unleash our resources to generate a $500 billion of extra economic growth, that will fund schools and hospitals and opportunity for our people. That's what's at stake.
That's what's at stake. These liberals are literally destroying this country. I don't understand that people don't quite get the concept, but that's what's happening. And if you don't think that's true, I don't know what else to tell you. Here's our debt clock. This is Canada's debt clock. Look at the numbers, the calculator. Look at the numbers flying by here. It's insane. Each and every person, your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids, every Canadian citizen owes $30,000 the day they're born. Boom. Let that sink in, folks. Let it sink in. And that's the interest every day, every hour in this country. If you think that the Liberals are going to fix what they basically have ruined in the last 10 years, then you're simply not paying attention. You're really not. The last thing I'm going to show you is something that really touched me when I found it this morning. And I'm sure it'll touch you as well. But this is what Canadians are fighting for. This is what Canadians need to join together as a unit and not be so divisive. is what transpired during COVID with the government overreach. That's a proven fact that it was an overreach because the court systems said it was illegal for the Emergency Act to do what they did to its citizens. Listen to this.
Small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing.
Guys, sending love from Metro Ontario. Go get them, boys and girls.
I'm Tim. I'm Tony.
I'm Maggie.
And we're from Metro, Alberta. Thank you for fighting for our freedoms. Love you guys. You guys are the best and waiting for you in Ottawa.
Thank you for fighting for us, truckers. Thank you for fighting us for truckers. It's Riley in Brooklyn, and we just wanted to say that we appreciate your loyalty for standing up for our freedom. To all you truckers out there, be safe. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow in a Big 10-4.
Big 10-4, Rubber Ducky.
Hi, my name's Nicholas. I'm Indigenous. I like to support my trucker.
Thank you, truckers. Good night. Thank you. I'm Jason. Bye-bye. Thanks again, Bobby. I'm a real nice. Your vehicle is trucks too.
Thank you guys so much for everything you're doing. As students here at Briarcrest are very happy and thankful for you guys fighting for us.
A big thank you to all the truck drivers that's heading into Ottawa. We support you 100%. Thank you for what you do. Keep up the amazing work.
For your loyalty for standing up for the government. Have safe drives, truckers.
I'm from Ottawa and you got all my support. God bless you all, honorable men and women, for waking up Canada. Getting rolling there, guys. Good work.
God bless all the truckers and everyone fighting for our freedoms. From Iowa family, we love you all. Stay safe and stay strong. 10-4.
Isn't that something? That is unity. That's people coming together for a common cause. That common cause is freedom and the ability to make your own choices, to do what you want to do, what you know to be is right. That's what it's all about. That's what this vote is about. That's what this election's about. Next week, if you haven't already voted early, next week when you hit those polls, think about everything you've heard in the news media or on the internet, not necessarily the news media, because the news media doesn't always tell you exactly what's going on. Make up your own mind with the stuff that you've heard and then move forward from that. Anyway, that's today's podcast, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Before I sign off, I always like to say this one last thing is about life. Life is tough. It's not easy. And I'm sure your parents never said to you that it was going to be easy. It's a challenge, but this is what makes people strong as they go through this life. When you're down and you feel like you're out, you got to do one thing. You got to keep moving forward. That's right. Got to keep moving forward because there's nothing back there waiting for you. Yesterday is history and tomorrow is a mystery and today is the present. That is why they call it a gift. Until next time, everyone, thanks for subscribing. Much appreciated. Have yourself a great day. Cheers.